Hello, we are back, and today I'm kind of late to the party, but figured it's okay because we're gonna be doing the mid-year freakout tag. I saw this going around a couple weeks ago and wanted to partake. Partly to see also just the books that I've read so far and what I've thought about them and just reflect a little bit. So here we are. Okay, so the first question is best book that I've read this year, and actually I have a few. Now I was thinking about it, and I definitely will make a video on my top books so far, just because I've accumulated a few. So to not spoil that upcoming video, I'm just gonna list two obvious ones that I think if you've been watching me for a little bit, you must know already what they are. Open Water by, what's his name? Caleb Azuma Nelson, and Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. Both of those books are beautiful, very different, but yeah, hands down, I'm not even gonna tell you what they're about because you've heard me talk about them a lot at this point, so yeah. The next question is best sequel, and I actually have not read any series really or sequels this year except for the Wolf Hall trilogy. So I'm just gonna say Bring Up the Bodies because I'm sure I'm gonna love that book. I haven't read it yet, so I'm kind of cheating, but that's the only book I can think of that is a sequel that I know I'm gonna read by the end of the year, and I already know that I'm gonna like it because I loved Wolf Hall, the first book of the trilogy. It's set in Tudor England, and we follow Henry VIII and his the dissolvement of his marriage to Anne Boleyn. But the trilogy itself actually focuses on Thomas Cromwell and his kind of rise to power and being the right-hand man for Henry VIII and his involvement in that time period with Henry VIII. So yes, I'm gonna go with that one, although we haven't read her yet. All right, new release, haven't read yet, but you want to. Definitely the new Akwaeke Emezi. I read all their work this year so far. Actually, no, because I haven't read Pet. So I've actually read two of their fiction pieces of literature, The Death of Vivek Oji, which I also liked, but nothing compared to Freshwater. Loved that book. So I'm really excited to read their autobiography called Dear Centaur, I hope. Yeah, it looks amazing. I know the people that have read it have absolutely loved it. Carolyn read it and gave it 5 stars, so I'm sure that'll probably be what I end up doing as well, because I just love them so much, and their story was just so impactful and unique, and I can't wait to read more about it. The next question, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Do I even have to say it? I feel like everyone and their mother has answered this and said the same thing. The new Sally Rooney, of course. I'm so excited to read that. Obviously, they're not gonna send me an ARC, but you never know. Yeah, I'm so excited to read that. I love Normal People, loved conversations with friends, so cannot wait. Yeah, duh. I don't even know of any other new release other than that one that I'm super, super stoked about. Number 5, the biggest disappointment. I feel like you already know this one too. Luster, I'm sorry. Don't come for me. I don't know. It just did not work for me. I can admit the prose were beautiful. There were certain sentences in that book that were just stunning, but just the plot. And I know that sometimes the plot isn't everything. I've read plenty of books that I have loved that are plotless, but I don't know. That one was just, the plot itself was just so unbelievable that it really bugged me. And the main character's like love interest, the older man, was so freaking unlikable. Ugh, like so plain Jane and just horrible. I don't know. That book was just so off-putting to me. I'm sorry. I wanted to love it. I didn't. I can't stand it. Sorry. and Real Life, which is like another loved loved book by the booktube community, but could not get into it. I've said it and I'll say it again, but homeboy needed to find better friends, because the whole time I was just like, why are you hanging out with these people? These people are horrible. Surely that university has like 1 or 2 nice folks, like surely. So yeah, I did not like that one. But I am willing to give Brandon Taylor a second chance, because I've read their like short stories and other publications that they've come out with, and I do really admire his writing. That book I just didn't vibe with, unfortunately. So yeah, the next question is biggest surprise, and I have 2 for this category. One of them was a translated piece of literature called How to Order the Universe by Maria Elena Ferrade, I think. Hold on, let me just check. Actually, no, it's Maria Jose Ferrada. It's such a darling little book. I picked it up because I saw it come into the store and I was processing it and it caught my attention, and I had no expectations really. I just was intrigued by the plot, and it actually turns out it's a piece of autobiography. So it takes place when she is 11 years old, living in Chile with her dad, who is actually a traveling salesman, and it's her observation as an 11-year-old on her life and the people around her, her dad's kind of odd job, and the people that she meets because of that, because she ends up joining him on his little weekend adventures around Chile. It was beautiful, super insightful, very intellectual, and I just kept on thinking, what a smart, funny little 11-year-old. Very fun, very cute, and I just read it in one shift. It's very short, but such a great little book, so I highly recommend it. And the second one is Detransition Baby, because I also saw it at work and I was like, this sounds so messy. I don't even know how this is gonna go. And I bought it out of curiosity, and I didn't think I was gonna like it because I thought it was just like kind of like a telenovela type situation. But the writing was phenomenal. The story was awesome. Loved the fact that Tori is trying to question the nuclear family and what that means, and different iterations of family, motherhood, and just parenthood in general. Engages in awesome conversations around that, like I said. But it's just a fun, complex, messy, great book and story, and I just loved the characters and that world, and I wish we had more. Like, I want to know what they're up to these days, you know? So yeah, I loved that book. Such a surprise. Loved the characters and the story and the plot, and yeah, very thought-provoking too. The next question is favorite new author. Definitely Caleb Azuma Nelson. Love him, his work, just him as a person from what I've stalked on the gram. I like what I see. He's the author of Open Water, his debut novel, so that's all I've read of his, but I've watched plenty of interviews, and like I said, we have stalked the gram. And I cannot wait to see what else that man comes out with, because wow, what a way to come out and make such a splash. Ugh, I just love that book. I have been shoving that book to whoever listens to me, people in my real life, and I can't wait to engage with those folks and converse, because I just loved that book. It was so good. So yeah, definitely him. And the next question, new fictional crush. Obviously the unnamed narrator in Open Water. That was a question on my 1K Q&A. If you haven't watched it, I will leave it downstairs. But somebody asked me if I could or if I had a crush on any book character I've read. Definitely him. So cute. And his girlfriend, actually. She also sounds freaking gorgeous. She's a dancer, just very creative and intellectual, and they both have great taste in music. Like, yes, those two, yes. New favorite character. The main character, actually, it's a book that I'm actually gonna grab because I have not discussed this book on here. Hold on. Little book. It's called Signs Preceding the End of the World by Yuri Herrera, and it's translated by Lisa Dillman. Loved this book. It is so cool. It is a story of a young gal named Makina, and she is ordered to cross the border into the United States from Mexico to in the hopes of bringing her brother who left Mexico to the States, to bring him back to Mexico to be with the family. But she is just, and it's essentially a journey of her going into the United States and crossing the border by foot. And it's all from her perspective. She's a young, super strong warrior queen. Just, so inspiring, and I just loved this book. And I'll read you the little back blurb. Signs Preceding the End of the World is one of the most arresting novels to be published in Spanish in the last 10 years. Yuri Herrera does not simply write about the border between Mexico and the United States and those who cross it. He explores the crossings and translations people make in their minds and language as they move from one country to another, especially when there's no going back. So true. Language in this, stunning. It's not like a magical realism book, because it isn't, but it's got these like suggestions of like the underworld and some like mystical things that happen in the forest and in the landscape in which we find Makina in. And another very cool trick or thing that Yuri Herrera does is that it's not bound by, he doesn't name the geographical locations that this book takes place in. You kind of have to deduce where it is that she is, where she's going. It's very ambiguous on purpose, and it makes the story all the more impactful and interesting. And I read this in one sitting. It was so freaking good. I've actually ordered it in Spanish because I want to read it in Spanish as well. So yes, love this book. I'm ashamed that it's taken me this long to talk about it because I forgot to include it in a wrap-up, but incredible book. Highly recommend. Book that made me cry. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. That book destroyed me in the best way possible. So beautiful. We follow a young man. He is writing to his illiterate mother, his life story and life through his eyes, and his childhood, his family's heritage dating back to Vietnam. It was just a stunning story. Like I said, it shattered my heart, so it definitely was a tearjerker, but I highly encourage you to pick that up. It's a beautiful work of fiction. Gorgeous. Book that made me happy. Honestly, The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. That book was an absolute joy to read. It's a piece of autofiction, and it talks about Maggie's journey with motherhood, being in a beautiful relationship with a gender fluid, beautiful human being, and talking about trans identity, writing, motherhood, like I said, family. It was just gorgeous, and every time I picked that book up, I was just so happy and excited to see what more like beauty I could get from those pages, and just what an empathetic, gorgeous, thoughtful human being that is Maggie Nelson. Honestly, I just want to give her a warm hug because, wow, loved that book. Stunning prose, so poetic, and just so full of love. Like, that's really what I felt when I was reading that book, and just really admired her vulnerability in sharing her story. Yeah, vulnerable, just beautiful. So it made me really happy, and like I said, every time that I sat down, I was so excited to see what else I was gonna read from this gorgeous voice. So yes, love that book. Most beautiful book I bought or received, definitely A History of My Brief Body. That cover is perfection. so beautiful, and the words inside are stunning. That book is a piece of nonfiction. It's an autobiography, as the title says, of a Indigenous Canadian queer man, and it takes place when he is in his college years. Talks about colonialism, his identity living in a settler colonial state that is Canada, tracing the history of colonial violence, especially upon Indigenous bodies. And it's just a gorgeous book, and the cover, like I said, was just stunning. Love that book. Please go and read it because it's amazing. And the last question, for once I think I didn't miss a single question on a tag. Hallelujah. But the last question is books to read by the end of the year. Honestly, anything on my TBR. I hope to get through all the books that I just hauled. I hope to get through more translated pieces of fiction that I have here. Yeah, just anything on my TBR I hope to get through by the end of the year. So hopefully that happens for us. And yeah, those are all the questions. I hope you enjoyed this rambly video. Hope you discovered a new book and are inspired to go and read more. And with that, I bid you goodbye. Bye.